You guys didn't warn me about this Florida humidity down here. No one warned me about this. No, it actually hasn't been that bad heat-wise. I'm just, it was just time.
About the humidity.
No one warned me about this humidity in Florida.
I don't think it's ever been discussed ever in the history of climate.
Mankind. Yeah.
It's Baseball at the Corner. This is the Michigan in Trouble podcast with your hosts, Alex S. Freeman and Luke Jaconis. Hello and welcome to the Michigan and Trumbull podcast. As you can see, we are joined by the one and only Tom Souls. And of course, Luke Jaconis is here like a bad penny. We can't get rid of him. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
I'm the good penny. Luke's the bad penny.
I'm Pennywise, the clown. I will eat and haunt your dreams. So, actually, who is the eater of worlds, if I'm not mistaken? Stephen King is going to have a field day that I flubbed one of his most iconic characters. Hey, guys, how we doing? Go Tigers.
He is a frequent listener.
Yeah.
I know for a fact. Yeah, I know for a fact. Steven is a big Tigers baseball fan, definitely not a big Red Sox fan. That's been proven many a times. Go Tigers! They swept the Twins.
Iconic. We'll talk about the Red Sox a little bit today because as Tom is here, we are going to revisit our picks. And gentlemen, I was doing some math today and some comparing to how things stand currently in Major League Baseball and how we thought they might by the end of the season. And either a lot of things have to turn around or we have a lot of crow to eat as we go into the second half of the season. Although I will point out a little nitpick here. We refer to it as the second half of the season, but in fact, more of the season has been played.
That is correct.
Already than the rest of the year going forward. So similar to the comparison of marathon to sprint over a 60 game versus 162 game season, I will nitpick the breaking of the halves of the season.
Crazy to think that if a year ago now, the 60 game sprint had not even begun. I think that was like July 26th or 27th of 2020 when the 60 game sprint season.
Oh no, Luke.
Did Luke?
I think Luke left us.
That was. He was making a good point, I guess.
Yes.
Those are my only issues with baseball at all. So Luke, while we wait for Luke to come back, maybe reappear eventually.
Who knows?
Tom, I'm gonna talk to you as the resident Oakland Athletics fan of the pod. How is the athletics seasons going? How are things going for them?
It's going very athletics-like. You know, they're playing good, solid baseball, but far from spectacular baseball and far from bad baseball. You know, just very not middle of the road, just above middle of the road baseball. They're gonna win about 90 games and lose in the wild card round or the first round of the playoffs. That's just what they're gonna do.
Tradition.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because I feel like the A's are playing that. We're taking a win in Tigers fandom because on MLB.com, they called us. They said that the Detroit Tigers are playing moderately okay. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but it was something like that. And I was like, that's the greatest praise we've gotten from MLB.com since probably 2014.
Yeah.
Luke, welcome back to the show.
I agree with everything you guys said. I agree. I agree with everything that was just said. I don't remember what happened. I think it was my Wi-Fi. I think it decided to go to crap. So
you were talking about the 60 game season, and Rob Manfred did not want you to, so he pulled the plug on your internet. He's
like Big Brother. Yep. Rob Manfred is like Ed Harris in the Truman Show with our show. Yeah. He just controls everything.
Rob has been listening to Luke though, because Rob is cutting out the extra inning rule and the 7-inning doubleheaders next year. So.
Well, actually, I'd like to maybe make a quick amendment to that, if I could. Sorry to cut you off, Tom. based off how the Tigers have been playing this season with the 7-game doubleheaders, if they want to keep those around for a little bit longer, you know what? No need to rush. Let's focus on the extra inning thing. Sometimes Detroit plays better in 7 innings than they do 9. So let's just, why ruin a good thing, guys? I mean, really, why ruin a good thing? It seems to be working as of late. No, but I did know about that Rob. I did hear that, so I guess good for Rob. He's listening to the fans. The point I was making before my internet crap, that was just this time last year, baseball hadn't even begun, and here we are now. Halfway through a regular 162. It's a great time to be alive. That's all I had to say.
Before we dive into eating our crow and celebrating some spots where we're right, I have one to highlight for everybody where I'm kicking everyone's butt based on projections. But I do want to say the Detroit Tigers did go 3-0 and sweep the Twins over. Hang on, I got to do the math real quick here. 24 innings of baseball.
Nice.
To get 3 wins.
Yeah.
With a weird, 8th inning, extra innings, weird bloop single by Miguel Cabrera to win.
All that 100% should have been caught by the Twins, but hey,
by either guy that was there to catch that ball.
I mean, that was definitely, I think, the center fielder's ball. He was playing pretty deep. Why teams are still playing so deep on Miguel Cabrera, I'm a little bit surprised on, especially in Comerica Park. Man, I love Miggy, future Hall of Famer, probably the greatest Tiger I've ever seen at this point in my lifetime. But he's not hitting for power much these days anymore. He is pretty much a singles machine, which is fine because you know what? That gets him to 3,000, and it's still productive, so I'm cool with it. But that center fielder was played way too deep. And then I don't know, and Andrelton Simmons, the shortstop, just it was too much for him to go out.
Yeah. He's a hell of a shortstop. Look that up. That did get scored as a hit, right? That wasn't an error.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. I mean, it was no one fumbled it or anything. They just center fielder was playing way too deep. Andrelton Simmons couldn't cover that ground. I mean, he's good, but even he couldn't get to it. And yeah, a bloop single turned into a Tigers 8th inning walk-off in game 2 of the doubleheader on Saturday. Going back to game 1, Robbie Grossman was the lone hero because he had the solo home run in the top of the first. And then the
Thank
Tigers
you, Tom,
pitching.
as the Athletics fan. We appreciate it.
Yep. And then the Tigers pitching carried them. Pitching carried them throughout all 3 games. I can't really complain, especially with guys like Urania, who went on the IL after starting game 1. Jimenez looked good. Daniel Norris looked good. Funkhauser looked good. Soto looked good. Everyone looked good. I have no complaints really with the pitching. Defense was well for the most part. Hitting was good, especially in today's win. Tigers swept the Twins. It's a shame that they got their ass kicked 4 games to none before the All-Star break because we've seen what they can do. And Alex, I think you said it on our last episode. Everyone was saying with the last Tigers game that it was a matter of the bullpen was so taxed. So theoretically, with all this rest, the bullpen should no longer be taxed. They should sweep these 3 games. And that's exactly what happened. So good on you. You called it.
Yeah, and I think they should also sweep the Rangers. If the rest thing holds true. Obviously hard to go sweep to sweep, but if you're going to do it against any 2 teams, these are probably the 2 teams on the schedule that you're going to do it against. So hopefully that pans out. I don't have much to add about the games this weekend. They were for the first time in a little bit, it felt like this team was playing exactly how they should be playing. They beat a team that they're better than. And that feels, as we revisit our preseason conversation, to say that the Detroit Tigers are a better team than the Minnesota Twins, you would have called me crazy in March to have said that. But I think that has proven itself out in the first half of the season.
Yeah, I think too with the Tigers, just real quick, going back to this past series, Jonathan Scope demolished the ball. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with him at the deadline. I think I don't know what's going to happen. At a point in time, I thought the better he played, he's as good as gone. But now I'm wondering if the Tigers will try to maybe do some sort of extension and just try to lock him down for the next couple of years. But then again, Scott Boras recently became his agent, so that's a factor too. Or will they try to get a nice haul by the deadline at the end of the month? That's a storyline to kind of follow. Candelario looked really good this series, by the way. Played great defense, really had some great at-bats, and both him and Scope demolished a couple of 2-run homers in the Sunday victory. So that's good to see. And then real quick on some other just transaction news, Urania did go to the IL, and prior to the games on Friday or Saturday, I believe it was, Willie Castro was sent down to AAA, and Nomar Mazara, DFA. It looks like his time as a Tiger has come to a close. So that's all I got for now.
And I thought AJ did a very classy job of handling the Nomar Mazara situation at the press conference, talking about how they wish the best for Nomar. They wanted it to work out, and that, he's a competitor. I thought he just handled the press conference very well, especially with kind of how bad Nomar was performing.
Is there a chance they outright him to AAA if he clears waivers?
Yeah, I mean, potentially. I mean, he'll kind of join the I don't know what to really call him. I guess the B squad of an outfield that consists of Jacoby Jones and Kristen Stewart. It's kind of like the has-beens of the past. I mean, I love Jacoby Jones. He just had a bad shake. There's a part of me that wishes he could still figure out and come back to the Tigers. I don't think you'll ever see Kristen Stewart again outside of maybe a September call-up.
Well, not until they learn how to hit the baseball.
Exactly, Tom. It's a very vital part of the game. It's a very vital part of the game. And actually, one more thing, too, before we get into all of our revisiting picks. I think they did announce that Fulmer is maybe next week going to start doing some rehab stuff. And it looks like it might be a little while till we see Matthew Boyd and Spencer Turnbull. Both, I don't think, have begun any sort of throwing programs or simulations, rehab assignments. So that really, really sucks. Because I feel like if they could get those two guys back, it would make the rotation and the pitching load a lot more feasible and would not put so much pressure on the bullpen. But we'll see. You're assuming Matt Manning probably gets called up this week, especially with Urania going on the IL. So that's your Tigers news and reviews for this week. Back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, I would say that with kind of the news of Spence and Matthew not being as ready as one hopes, and Fulmer hopefully coming back sooner rather than later, but still a little bit of a road to go. I think that any kind of could these Tigers make a push for a wild card spot, because they're not out of the wild card race quite yet.
They're like 10 and a half, something like that.
Put together a streak. There's a feasible path, but I don't think there is without those guys.
Maybe worry about getting to 500 first, guys. Come on.
That's my goal. Hey, 9.5 games out of 9.5 games though.
9.5 games out of the wildcard race, 8 games below 500. So it's kind of
which one do you want first? Yeah. One will follow suit. Yeah, they are playing better. I know I ripped on them a lot last week because they played like absolute trash against the Twins prior to the All-Star break. Real quick, but I finishing that thought. Yes, they have played better. Great way to start the second half, no doubt about it. They're undefeated in the second half. What's not to like? I mean, they played really well. Good stuff. Mazel, good things. Real quick though, did you guys watch any of the home run derby?
Yeah, I watched most of it. We talked about this, off air via text a couple of days ago, but I usually don't watch because I'm just not a big home run derby guy, but I was obligated to watch with Matt Olson participating. So I did watch this year.
My underdog picked Trey Mancini. I picked him. I just had a good feeling. I think good things happen to good people. And then a polar bear named Pete Alonso just completely crapped on that dream. I don't know how that guy, if he does home run derbies now for like the next 5 to 10 years, how he doesn't win every one of them. He is just, I think I read that he made more money participating in the home run derby than he'll make in his actual contract from the Mets this year. That's why he probably loves these home run derbies so much and he gets so amped up.
Heck yeah.
While some of these guys look at it like a little vacation, go see some cool parts of the world, whatever it might be with your family, your friends. This guy's looking at a paycheck. This is a job. He's here to collect the cash and get the hell out of there. So shout out to him. He was an absolute beast, but also Trey Mancini too. I thought he did a hell of a job. It was a really fun home run derby. Ball flew on a Coors Field. Who would have thought?
Yep.
It's particularly surprising.
Also the celebrity softball game. Field. Yeah. Also the celebrity softball game. Greatest entertainment on the face of the earth.
Luke and I are probably in the minority in this, but we love that game.
So. The best. It's just, I can't.
It's high comedy. I don't know how you can't enjoy it.
I didn't know that I needed to watch Karamo Brown, one of the hosts from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, drop multiple infield pop-ups in order to make me laugh like a little schoolboy. But it happened, and so did the laughter. It was just pure entertainment. Everyone across the board. It's like you got all these like TikTokers, and then out of nowhere, like an actual MLB All-Star retired, like Hunter Pence comes in and almost murders someone with an infield line drive. It's like, geez, very funny, very good stuff, great entertainment. I had fun with the All-Star Derby.
I'm boycotting the celebrity softball game until my invitation comes in the mail.
Oh,
okay. So you probably do have the best. Yeah, you have the best chance out of us. You have the most Twitter followers, so I mean, for whatever that's worth, I mean, you probably have Instagram too, and probably Facebook likes and all that stuff too. So, but I do have a better OnlyFans than you. That's just a given.
Now, if you were to go, obviously you guys would wear a Tigers jersey and I would wear an A's jersey, but would you put your own name on it or would you put an actual player's name on it?
My own name. Yeah.
I would wear an AJ Hinch jersey.
I would wear a Brandon Inge jersey, the man who went 0 for 10, and I believe it was the 2009 Home Run Derby.
Don't you have one in your wardrobe?
I do. Oh my God, I forgot. I do own a Brandon Inge jersey, so it'd be easy. It'd be easy for me. It would be easy, and I was not joking there. For those of you who want a little Tigers throwback, Brandon Inge was in the Home Run Derby in I believe 2009, and he did not hit a single home run. So, our thoughts and prayers go out to Brandon and the entire Inge family.
They're probably doing okay. Okay, let's dive into some picks reviews. And we'll stay close to home in the American League Central, where we were supposed to pick how the division would finish. Luke and Tom, you picked it identically. You picked White Sox, Twins, Cleveland, Royals, Detroit Tigers to finish. I picked the Twins to win the division. Cleveland to be in second, the White Sox to be in third, the Tigers, and then the Royals. Obviously, as things stand right now, the White Sox are winning this division and probably will. I don't really see a world where they don't win this division at this point. Then Cleveland, then Detroit, then Minnesota, and the Kansas City Royals hanging out in the basement of this division. Had a kind of a good start, the Royals, but faded very quickly. What's the most surprising thing here? One, is it how wrong I was about the White Sox, or is it the Twins?
I think it's the Twins, and it's just not that they're not good, but they've been downright bad.
Yeah. I think it's all those years of those early exits from the postseason have finally caught up with them. It's karma being like, that's it. No more freebies. You guys are going to suck now this season until you can prove us otherwise. The White Sox being as good as they are, that's not surprising to me. I think this was the year that it finally clicked. I really thought at the beginning of the season it was kind of their division to lose. Maybe Cleveland gave them a run for it, but I know Cleveland is in second right now, and they're the closest team to catching them, but this is the White Sox division pretty much here on out. With the exception of some sort of monumental collapse. I'd be stunned if they didn't wrap this thing up.
Yeah, especially because they're getting like Eloy Jimenez back.
Yeah, they're just getting stronger.
Yeah,
just getting stronger. The Twins being really crappy was definitely a surprise. I thought at least maybe a second place finish third, but they're not very good. Everything Tom said. You said at the beginning too, Alex, and I think I talked about it last week. The Royals are a big surprise. Not that I thought they were going to be the best team in the American League Central, but I thought that lineup was sneaky hot, I was saying at the beginning of the year. And they started off hot, and they have just completely cooled down pretty much after that first month and a half. They're very bad. And I'll give some love to our boys, the Tigers. I think they're playing a lot better than most people probably expected. I know there's been some growing pains. There's been a lot of high highs, a ton of low lows, especially that month of April and halfway through May. But pretty much from the end of May until now, they've been playing pretty solid and consistent baseball, and I think they've shocked a lot of people that they're in third place and kind of hovering around that 500 mark. We'll see how it goes the rest of the way, but I think you got to give the Tigers some love.
Yeah, Tigers currently pacing to win about 74 games this season. Yep. The books had them at 67.5 on the over/under, so outperforming that. Yeah, I believe all.
Did we all take the over?
Tom was polite and did take the over on that one.
I did,
along with us.
And for a while, I was thinking to myself, Tom, why did you take the over? This is that was dumb.
That was in April, Tom.
Now
We're
it's
a
looking
new team.
much better.
It's a new regime. It's a new team. Anyone who said this team was only going to wouldn't even win 40 games is an idiot. Absolute idiot.
So with that number, with them pacing at 70 to win 74, do we think they'll finish over and under that number as the season unfolds?
Oh man, now you're playing with, and this isn't a fair question because I just swept the Twins, so I'm on cloud nine right now. I'm thinking we're going to win the World Series.
We're only like 2 weeks from the trade deadline. We have no idea who they're going to trade off or keep. And like you guys were talking earlier, when do Spencer Turnbull and Matthew Boyd come back? Because if they don't come back a couple of weeks from now, the bullpen could be really taxed with the starting rotation, and with Urania going on the IL, the bullpen could be really taxed, and things could really turn bad really quickly, possibly from the pitching side of things. So we have no idea what that's going to look like. They're going to be right in the range of that 74 for sure. I'm going to take the slight under. I think it's going to be closer to like 70 or 72, but over the original line of 67 or whatever it was. But I'll take the slight under of 74.
Take into that what Tom just mentioned about Spence and Boyd, and also add into that equation, if Jonathan Scope does get dealt at the deadline, you just lose your best hitter on the team. It really is about to become like a choose your own adventure for the Tigers, I think, for the remaining 2.5 months, because it could go like the course are now. It's like, all right, maybe we do kind of get close to 500. Maybe just miss out, maybe just get a little over, who knows, or it could be like a disaster. So only time will tell for the next couple of weeks, but I'll take the slight under too. I'm thinking still like in that 71 to 73 mark of wins. But as we said at the beginning of the season, that's a very good little improvement. I mean, I don't want to get all excited over a team that still finishes damn near 10 games under 500. But, compared to where they've been the last few seasons, it feels like a milestone of a win. So I'll take the slight under, but good things are happening. I said that last week. As much as I moan and complain and tweet and all that stuff, I can acknowledge that good things are happening with Detroit, and that's exciting.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go slightly opposite the two of you, and I will take the slight over on that number, if only because I think this team is scrappy with some lineup, with the way that AJ Hinch is handling the lineup. And so some of those potential pitfalls, I don't think would maybe be the disaster that they could have been, especially early on in this season. They've been through the adversity of like the whole lineup blowing up on them. And so hopefully they can play around that and manage around that a little bit more effectively. And also looking at the rest of just the July games, I think they can make up a lot of ground on that with another series with the Rangers here about to happen. They've got the Orioles later this month as well. So I just think it's going to be a nice little opportunity for them to pick up on that pace a little bit, so that if and when they do have a little bit of a skid, they'll be in better shape to still land maybe at 75, 76 wins, still below 500. I don't think they'll finish above 500 this year. But I think anything in the 70s feels like a major win in the books of Tigers fans.
70's got to be like the benchmark, right? If you hit that, you feel
that's where
not great about the season, but overall feel like there was progress made.
Yeah. The correct trajectory.
Yeah, that's where I was kind of like going into this season, was wanting this to kind of be around that low 70 to 73 in that ballpark. So that was good for me. It's a shame really that they had such a bad month of April and half a month of May, and they couldn't keep it even within like 5 to 8 games under 500. I think at a point in time they were like 9-24. Like it was just, they got off to such a crappy start. You have to imagine had they even recouped maybe, 6 or 7 of those losses, whatever, they could probably be in a position where they could make an argument that they could finish the season at 500 or just slightly over. But you live and you learn. Things are better. They're growing. And AJ Hinch is the man. Give him manager of the year. Good God. What this man is doing with this team is truly incredible. It is like an art. That's like an artwork, man. An artist doing his with his paintbrush. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, as we leave the AL Central in our conversation briefly, I just want to revisit some of my notes from the 324 recording real quick, just so I can really eat some crow here, because I deserve it, because I was very unkind to Mr. Tony La Russa in my conversation. So I'm just going to reread my notes, and nobody else does this. No other broadcasters go back to the notes and admit they were terribly wrong. And I wrote, I have absolutely zero faith in the White Sox as led by Tony La Russa. So little faith. In fact, I almost put them finishing 5th in the division. But I think they have enough talent in the bats that they'll overcome terrible management. The management hasn't been as terrible as I was anticipating it would be.
Yeah. Didn't you have a bold prediction they would be under 500 at the All-Star break?
I had that the Tigers would be ahead of them in the standings at the All-Star break. Yes, and that
just
was
a little off.
True.
Just a little off on that one.
About 14 games off.
For what it's worth, and there is still a lot of season left to be played, I will also admit I am surprised that I guess we haven't seen like that big White Sox inner turmoil. Like I kept saying, like, I could just envision some sort of like screaming match between Tony La Russa and Tim Anderson or, Luis Robert, whoever it would have been, Jose Abreu. And like the fact that we haven't seen that at this point is pretty good. I know there was some rumblings early on in the year with how he was kind of managing pitchers and the starters in particular. There was a couple games I know against the Tigers. He left some of his starters in there way too long. But for the most part, you can't really knock what he's doing. No. They have the best record in the American League the last time I checked. So that's pretty darn good. And I think are they the second best team in baseball just behind the Giants, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, they're credit where credit is due. They're a good team.
Yeah. There's time for him to mess it up, of course, but I think he has been smart enough to stay out of the way. You know what I mean? Like, for the most part, not, try and be too old man, get off my lawn with his stuff with the young guns. So I think he's been smart enough to like just get out of the way and let the guys play baseball and have their fun. And they're winning a lot of games. So why wouldn't you do that?
They are the third best team in baseball, just for the record. They are behind the Giants and the Dodgers.
I mean, I think I would anticipate, if Cleveland gets it together and suddenly they find themselves like in an actual race, then maybe we start to see some tensions get high in that dugout. If there's, another situation where he is leaving a pitcher in too long, or he, a La Russa decision doesn't quite pan out as one might think, or he pulls a guy earlier than he thinks he does, which is also a very La Russa move. And so I think, like right now they have an 8.5 game lead in the division. Like what's anyone really getting mad about? In that scenario.
Don't rock the boat.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So just for the record, I despite being so wrong about the White Sox, I do currently have the most points in the American League Central picking order, because I do have the Royals in last and I do have Cleveland in second. Let's go to our division winners where, oh boy, this was rough. Luke, you have none of them in the right. You have none of the division winners picked correctly right now. And Tom and I both have one. So,
didn't I pick the White Sox?
They don't count in the division.
Did we not count them? Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Because
so technically we have two, Luke, but
okay. Wait, the Diamondbacks aren't in first in the NL West? Are you guys kidding me right now? Are you joking me?
Thankfully, none of us picked them to do anything. So,
and Tom, remember that time you texted us when you're like, I went back and listened to our over/under episode about the Diamondbacks, and I was worried that I took the over, but glad I took the under. I think we all took the over. So good for us, guys. High five there. But okay, I'll just go ahead. Sorry.
So a couple of different spots we can go with this one. I guess that we'll start in the American League East, and we'll talk about the Yankees, where we all thought the Yankees were going to win that division. We thought it was going to be a race. I think we thought it was going to be more of a Blue Jays Yankees race, but now
not just the division, Alex. We all have them in the World Series.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, that's
But let me tell you, I've never been more happy to be wrong about anything ever, possibly.
In fact, they're Luke's World Series champion in this.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, sweet God. I'm going to owe someone 2 dinners by the end of the season.
I know I live in New York, but what's happening in New York?
Yeah. This is, they're bad. They're not very good. Like, are they the worst are they the Diamondbacks? No, but they're not a very good baseball team. And I don't know if they continue at this rate of play, how Aaron Boone has a job there next year. But the funny thing is too, so what is the Yankees record right now? So anyone know off the top of their head? I know they're like
47 and 44. They are.
Okay. And they're 8 games out of the division.
Game against Boston pending.
Yeah, they're playing on Sunday Night Baseball right now. The funny thing is, too, and granted, again, they're not like they're 10 or 15 under 500. They're floating right about around 500. They're 8 games out of the division, probably only a couple out of the wild card. So they're still definitely in playoff contention. But they're just like a very whatever team. But what's funny is everyone just treating them because they're the Yankees like this is the worst baseball team in the history of the sport. And meanwhile, while that's going on, there's like inner turmoil, I feel like, within the team. And then you've got like upper management, everything I'm reading, they just want to keep throwing money at the wall to like bring in more guys at this trade deadline, after like Joey Gallo going over there, maybe a guy like Starling Marte, because he just declined some sort of option or extension, I think it was, from the Marlins. So it's just like
they're really not that far out of it.
Exactly. That's the funny thing. But they are such like crybabies. Not only did you see the other day, they threw baseballs on the field in the beginning of the season when they were bad, and they were throwing baseballs on the field last night against the Red Sox.
Yeah, they threw one. I think they hit Alex Verdugo with one.
Yeah. Yankees fans are a bunch of stupid ass punk bitches. That's what they are. They all they boast about their 27 rings, or whatever the hell it was. Half of them weren't even alive for those rings when they got them in the first place. It's just they are the quintessential crybaby fan. They have a historic and a really heavily accoladed franchise, and yet they just mope and complain. They're the Yankees. We all expect this. They're the Dallas Cowboys of Major League Baseball. Mm-hmm. I think we can all agree on that. So they're the worst. They're the worst fans in baseball. And again, their team isn't even, they're like, okay, they're not the worst team ever, yet their fans are acting as if they're the 2019 Detroit Tigers. I did not fling one Little Caesars pizza box onto Comerica Park in 2019, and boy, could I have, and it would have been okay. It would have been warranted. They were bad. But anyways,
I like the comparison to you flinging Little Caesars pizza boxes as though Yankees ownership made their money on baseballs, as that is what the Yankees fans have been throwing onto the field. Although Yankees fans might insist that they invented the baseball. And
probably
that's why that, it's interesting. If Yankees management is looking to throw money at a solution, I have never witnessed a Yankee loss at Yankee Stadium. So I think if they just want to provide me with some season tickets, I will go hang out at Yankee Stadium to help them out. And I will not show up when they play the Tigers, as I did bear witness to the sweep of the Detroit Tigers.
I'm going to blow up your spot here a bit. When we hung out for the 4th of July, you told me that Yankee Stadium wasn't all that good.
Oh, yeah. No, it's not great. That's why I would need them to provide me with the season tickets.
To entice you to come, not only because you don't want to watch the Yankees, but then to have to go to their dump of a stadium. I get what you're going for here.
Ticket sales have been, it's so funny because they are an above 500 baseball team, and ticket prices are atrocious at Yankee Stadium. And they have not been selling very well. One of my buddies who has been to a few more Yankees games than me is getting almost daily emails from their ticket sales reps being like, hey, you got any friends? You got any friends you want to bring? We can get you all free hot dogs with your tickets.
Yeah. Well, it's what Tom said. I've never been kind of happy to be more right. I mean, I'm pretty much out of it, I feel like, anyway. So at this point, I just want to watch the Yankees crash and burn. I think we all do as baseball fans. But shout out to the Red Sox, because that's a team that I don't think any of us really had on our radar going into this season, especially after how poorly they played in 2020. And they are getting it done. So kudos to them. They really are. They're an impressive bunch. Because their lineup to me is not overly impressive. Like on paper, it's good. It's a solid lineup, but yet they continue to get it done. Same thing with the pitching side of things. I think it's okay. I don't think it's great, but they're getting it done. So kudos to them. That's going to be a fun race down the stretch.
It's the one I'm most looking forward to.
Even I think the Yankees could go on a tear here and be right back in this thing within a week. So I think those 4 teams, we're going to see a pretty fun little.
Because I think the Blue Jays are going to try and buy at the deadline. I don't think they're going to sell. Yep. And the Yankees are the Yankees, so they're going to buy.
Yep.
And the Rays are the Rays, so they're going to be in it no matter what. Even if they trade away half their team, they're going to find a way to be in it. So
they're going to get differenter.
Differenter.
They're going to be. It's going to be a good race. The AL East is going to be very compelling to watch over these next couple of months, and the Orioles are there too.
I do think the American League representative in the World Series will come out of the AL East, just because I think all those teams can be great. I think the Yankees can turn it around, and be the team that they were supposed to be at the start of this season. And Boston, Tampa Bay, Toronto, all playing great baseball and will continue to play it.
And the Blue Jays are going back to Toronto, I think, at the end of the month.
Yeah,
so
and I think that's going to be a big boost to them to get
Mhm.
back in the Rogers Center and
Yep.
have. I don't know if I haven't heard of whether or not they're going to be able to have fans there or not yet. But even just being back in the home park, I think is going to be great for them.
Yeah, they're a cool team. I like their team. I like the Rays team. The Red Sox are a very interesting team because, as I said, I don't think they're overly impressive on paper, but they're getting it done. And the Yankees are a bunch of rich jerk-offs, and it is what it is.
I'm going to flip this on us because I think the other particularly compelling division is if we go over to the National League West, as we all anticipated Dodgers Padres to just kind of run away with that division and be in a nice little race with each other. And here are the Giants playing fantastic baseball. I have not watched a ton of Giants baseball, but just watching box scores and obviously where they stand at 58-34, half a game ahead of the Dodgers, 4.5 ahead of the Padres.
It's not even an even year. What are they doing?
I know, it's weird. It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they are a good baseball team. I mean, I think they're the surprise team of the year. I would also
sure.
I'd also give some love to the Red Sox again. That's how impressed I have been with the Red Sox. But the Giants, I mean, this is a team when everyone was saying it's Dodgers, Padres, no one was considering the San Francisco Giants, and they have physically put themselves into the conversation. And truthfully, I'm always kind of a sucker for a good underdog story. And there's a part of me that would really like to see them win the whole thing out in the NL West. I do like this Padres team a lot. I think they're a lot of fun to watch. I'm done with the Dodgers. We've seen enough of them as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, the Giants, I think they're the surprise team of the year. I mean, they're the best team in baseball. So I mean, you have to give credit where credit's due. They are a really, really good team.
I mean, the Dodgers are only a game behind, and I feel confident that the Dodgers will catch and pass them. But I don't think the Giants are going to be so bad in the second half that they just completely fade away.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking up what was the Giants over under for this season? They were at 76.5 was what the book set the over under at. They are pacing to win 99.9 games.
Damn. Did we all take the under on that?
Nope. Alex and I took the over.
Yep.
Ah! Curse you, Bruce Bochy!
So, I mean, I will they be a 100-win baseball team? Maybe. It's a tough division to probably do that in just because they have to play the Padres and the Dodgers.
Yes, but then they also get to play the Diamondbacks and the Rockies.
Yeah.
So
yes, they do.
Everything evens out. With the Rockies, real quick. Oh, sorry.
No,
I was just reading. The Rockies have a really, really, really good record at home. Shocker, I know. But then they have a atrocious record on the road. I think they have the worst road record in all of baseball, if I'm not mistaken. But
they have 9. They don't even have 10 wins on the road. They're 9-34.
Yeah. Again, just imagine if they could kind of like just level that off just a little bit. It could, who knows where it could be. Could it be a 4-team race? I don't know. But yeah, they're an interesting team too.
And then on a similar note, the Dodgers currently pacing to also win 99.9 games, but their over-under for the season was set at 102.5, which I believe we all just kind of said that's a lot of wins.
We did all take the under there
to say that they would win 102 games, and I think the Giants have done a nice job of helping us be on the under on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, I can't believe I took the under on the Giants. What was I thinking? Must have been having bad flashbacks to 2000.
That it was an odd year, and so they should be fun.
Yep, I used my brain. Look where that got
me. Other races to talk about, Tom. Since you're here, we all picked the Oakland Athletics to win the American League West.
That was stupid, guys. Why did we do that?
Obviously, Houston is currently leading that division. What are your thoughts? Can they make this run? And
well, sure, anything is possible, but will they? No. Houston is just better because Houston hits the baseball and the A's don't. That's why they won't catch them. And because the pitching is more or less a wash, like both teams have solid but unspectacular pitching staffs, starting and bullpen. But Houston has a far better lineup. They get hits, and they don't even have Bregman, and they lost Springer, and Yordan Alvarez missed like the first half of the season. He just came back a few weeks ago, and they're still hitting. They hit, and the A's don't. So the A's are good enough to, stay close and in striking distance for most of the year. And knowing the A's, they tend to play better in the second half anyway, but they're just not going to be able to hit enough to catch the Astros, barring like some major acquisitions at the trade deadline. And frankly, I'm not sure I want them to do Tampa that. Bay. I mean, that's a whole nother subject, but I'm not even sure I want them to do that. So,
Yeah, I mean, I still think they're in it. Also, could get them to be a wild card. I think that's definitely not out of the realm of possibilities. Whether or not they catch fire in the postseason, if they were able to get there, who knows? I agree with you.
The answer is no. They will not do that.
Okay, all right. Oh, it's like me right now, Mr. Negative. So this is what it's like. Okay, I get it. Yeah, I mean, I think they're a good baseball team. There's no denying that. The Astros, I think, are a lot better than everyone had kind of anticipated. I think everyone was really hoping after the 2020 season and not really getting to rightfully kind of give them crap for the cheating scandal. And maybe that would have some sort of effect on their conscience and just the way they play. And that's clearly not the case. They're playing very, very well. Shout out though to the Seattle Mariners. That's a team real quick who is playing good baseball. They don't play well against the Detroit Tigers, but they do seem to play well against every other team because they are 50 and 44.
Which credit to Tom, because I believe in our season picks episode, you told us that
they were going to be pesky and that the Rangers would suck. And sure enough, the Rangers suck and the Mariners are pesky. So
Rangers should probably just bring Prince Fielder back out of retirement. Maybe that'll.
Well, I mean, He'd probably hit better than, or he'd probably be pretty comparable to Joey Gallo's stats. Honestly, strike out a lot, hit some dingers.
Joey Gallo might become a Yankee. That's a report I read soon. But then again, anyone could become a Yankee. I might be becoming a Yankee soon. Who knows?
If you can hit, you might be a Yankee.
Let's stay in New York and talk about the National League East, where the Mets are currently leading the division. Even though I was sick to my stomach making that pick, I'm still a little sick to my stomach that the Mets will be able to continue leading this division. But to me, maybe the surprise is that the Braves are sitting a little bit under 500 right now. I have not been paying much attention to the Braves. Tom, I know you have more of a connection to the Braves.
Right.
So would you like to give us a little Braves report?
Yeah. I mean, injuries have definitely played a factor, especially on the pitching side of things. They've had a lot of starters miss time. The bullpen has been atrocious. They resorted to bringing Shane Green back partway through the season, and he's been not good since they brought him back. So, but yeah, a lot of bad pitching, a little bit of bad luck in the hitting department. They for a while there, for the first couple months of the season, they were the most unlucky team in baseball as far as like BABIP goes and stuff like that. But they're getting out of that. But then the whole Marcelo Ozuna thing, he's not going to be playing the rest of the year. They lost Ronald Acuna for the year with his torn ACL. So it's going to be really hard for them to find enough offense, I think, to get fully back into the race. I mean, it's perfect timing now with Francisco Lindor and Jacob deGrom going down. So the Mets have plenty of time to Mets it up. But I just don't think really who should be feeling good right now is the Phillies. The Phillies are closer than the Braves anyway. And they have a real chance to catch the Mets if the Mets kind of falter here with two of their big guns out.
This is going to be an interesting race. I think what you just said about the Phillies, that's kind of my team. I think that might just kind of sneak in with injuries to the Braves, more recent injuries to the Mets. This just kind of seems like to strike while the iron's hot. And I think the Phillies just might kind of sneak their way in ever so. I think whoever comes out of the NL East is not winning the World Series. No way in hell. I would be very surprised if that were to somehow happen. I don't even think whoever comes out of the NL East will even make it to the World Series. But someone's got to win it, right? So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that one goes. I like the Phillies. I think the Phillies could do it. Mets, I think, are going to start Metsing it up here pretty bad. So we'll see. And then it sucks actually about the Braves with all their injuries, especially with Acuna. Marcelo Zuna, he's hurt, and then obviously with his off the field issues, that's no good at all. So it's just like kind of a crappy situation all the way. Because I like the Braves; they're a cool team. So it's a shame to see them struggling like this.
Mark joked the other day that the Braves could possibly win the division with an under 500 record.
I think there's a good chance that whoever wins the division will be under 500.
No,
so.
I think whoever wins it'll be a little bit over 500, but it'll definitely be one of those where a lot of the teams are going to be within 500, and they won't be that many games apart. But whatever team wins it, like you said, is not going far in the playoffs at all, I don't think.
I'm getting flashbacks to last NFL season when it was the NFC East, and it's like, oh God, who's going to win this? Who is going to win this disgusing thing? Yep. The NL East isn't too far off.
This, guys.
Someone has to physically win, guys.
Yeah.
So on the Phillies note, the interesting of them potentially sneaking in to win that division, the over/under on them preseason was 81.5 games, and they are currently pacing to land at 81. So right now that's where I'm dominating because I do have the under on 81.5, and the two of you have the over. But I do think they'll get to, if they do sneak into first in this division. I do think they'll have 83 wins.
Yeah.
Also, I think I just looked too. The Nationals are only like 6 games out of it, so I mean it's still. Again, these races are far from over. It's just, I think, as we all have agreed here, whoever does take the covered spot of winning the NL East, it ain't going to be pretty. Let's just leave it at that. It ain't going to be pretty. So,
that being said, Citi Field, the Superior Stadium in New York.
Oh,
to go watch a game. Okay. It just sucks because it's way out in Queens. And so unless you live way out in Queens, it is not fun to get to.
Do you know who lives out in Queens? Doug and Carrie Heffernan.
The king of Queens.
Yep. My eyes are getting weary. My back is getting tight. Sitting here in traffic on the Queensboro Bridge tonight.
Actually, to get to the stadium, you probably want to just take a 7 train. You don't want to...
That didn't fit into the jingle.
Get on the express because the local makes a lot of stops, guys. It takes forever. Good. Any other division winner type surprises that you guys want to talk about before we maybe talk a little bit about wild card races? Although,
well, I mean, have we talked about NL Central really?
No, I was going to say that too. I was like, I don't think it's a big surprise. I mean, I picked the Brewers, and they're looking pretty good right now. Mm-hmm. I did say when we recorded the first, the prediction show that it was more about sort of just picking a name out of a hat, not just being like, oh my God, the Brewers are better than every team here. And, the Cubs started out okay for a while, but the Cardinals have not been great, and the Cubs have faded away, and the Brewers have played much better. So, and I did say that the Reds were going to be pesky, and the Reds have been pesky. So, they've really hit. I still don't think they have the pitching to like stay in it long enough. So I really think this is the Brewers division to lose. The Cardinals aren't going to go completely away. The Cubs probably will, because they're probably going to sell off some of their guys. Being here, especially right in the neighborhood, you hear a lot of that going on about who's going, who's staying. It's basically like the ceiling is falling around here. So
I just traded Jock Peterson to the Braves. So I mean, it's already. I mean, I know he was a 1-year guy, but I mean, you're going to start to see.
It's really about those 4 core guys: Contreras, Rizzo, Baez, and Bryant, and seeing which of those guys stay and which of those guys go. So
the foundation started to crack when they got rid of Joe Madden. Once they did that, it was game. When they got rid of Joe Madden and they didn't bring back Castellanos, it was just
and when they traded Yu Darvish away and got not calling Zach Davies garbage because he's not garbage, but like they didn't get much back for Yu Darvish at all. And that was a clear move of like, hey, we don't really plan on competing this year. Yeah,
we're gonna give you just enough to be into it all, then we're gonna pull it away from you. I think Chris Bryant is as good as gone. I feel like we've been saying that now for like the last 2 or 3 trade deadlines. I don't know how it doesn't happen this time. I would be truly surprised if he's not gone. at the end of this month. So I don't know, but I just think he's as good as gone. I think with a guy like, I think Javi. I think Javi's going to go somewhere this offseason and get a big payday. And I
think there's a possibility too of what the Cubs did with what happened with Aroldis Chapman in the Cubs World Series year, where he agreed to be traded to the Cubs and then was basically, we found this afterwards, was like, I'll come back to the Yankees afterwards, after, because they're all in contract years. Well, Baez, Bryant, and Rizzo are all in contract years. So you could see maybe some of those guys traded, but do the same thing and agree to come back to the Cubs afterwards.
Yeah.
Probably not Bryant, but more like Baez and Rizzo, because those are really the two guys that the fan base is more connected to. And
Rizzo, yeah.
And I don't think Contreras is going anywhere either, but I think you could get a big haul for him if you did feel like trading him.
I agree.
Tom, if you have to take one of those four guys to the Oakland Athletics, who do you take?
I would probably take Chris Bryant because he fits what they do. He would be able to play multiple positions. He's a good offensive bat. He's a good on base guy. I think I would most like to have Wilson Contreras, but I think the best fit is really Chris Bryant. And it's not out of the realm of possibility either, because they need an outfield bat and they would have him play the outfield almost exclusively, probably a little bit of DHing, but so he would really fit. I don't know I have no idea what the asking price is going to be for Chris Bryant. It won't be a ton because, it is the last year of his contract. So no, he's got one more year, I think. Does he? I can't remember. It might be his last year. I can't remember, but he'd fit. I just don't know. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't know if I want the A's to make any big moves because I don't think they're going to be better than the Astros regardless. I almost don't want them to waste assets trading for guys this year and sort of just, if anything, I want them to sell, but they don't really have any pieces that I want them, that I'm willing to get rid of that would actually get them anything in return. Like Steven Piscotty has been terrible and they're not going to get, I don't want them to trade away Matt Chapman, even though he hasn't been great, or Matt Olson, obviously. So it's like, and so I think I'd rather them just sort of stay pat, or maybe they'll make minor acquisitions because that's just what they do. Like they're not going to sit pat. They're going to find a bullpen guy and they'll probably find someone to play the outfield, or even acquiring somebody like Jonathan Scope. They could use, a bit of pop, a little more pop, and he would provide that. And so they might do something like that, but I don't want them to make big moves for like Chris Bryant or Trevor Story, because it would just sort of empty the cupboard too much for what I think is ultimately pointless.
Alex, I'm going to ask you this question. If the Tigers get one of those four players from the Cubs, who would we like them to get?
It's got to be Baez, right? To play short.
Yeah, I think, that's where I would go. Mostly because and not even to play shortstop, because, the way the Tigers work, they'd probably make him a catcher. I just like to watch him play baseball. I like the way Javi Baez plays baseball. It's fun.
Bring him on. No disrespect to Zach Short, who's currently playing shortstop for the Detroit Tigers, but I would gladly welcome Javi Baez to the Tigers, and it could happen still. Who knows? I don't think it would happen at this deadline by any means, but maybe more like an off-season signing. Who knows? We'll see. But yes, just get us a shortstop, please. For the love of God, someone do it.
Which one of those guys is most likely to become a Yankee? That's the real question.
Oh, I think it's Chris Bryant.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I agree. They don't really have a long-term solution at third base. He wouldn't be blocking anybody. So I think that's probably who it is.
Yep. I'm almost surprised a little bit the Cubs didn't try to move Bryant to the Braves over Jock Peterson.
Or that
they
the still might.
Weren't. Yeah, I don't know, just because I feel like they could just,
because they could use him too. They could use him too for sure. I get why Jock Peterson when he was on that 1-year deal, so he's a rental. But I just think Bryant is pretty much as good as gone. I think his time, at least for this season, with the Cubs is coming to a close. Whether or not he would re-sign with them down the road, I do think there's an outside chance that the Cubs don't trade any of those guys, and as sort of like an homage to you know, it's like the 5-year anniversary of them winning the World Series this year. And it's the, you know, it's the group of guys that did it, and sort of like letting them play out their last year together and sort of as a treat for the fans too, is like letting these guys kind of go out on their own terms, you know?
Yep.
Now, does that make great business sense in terms of, you know, setting the team up for the future? Maybe not. I mean, yes, you'll get compensatory draft picks for Brian if he signs somewhere else, or whoever, but you know, you sort of weigh those factors. Because they really haven't had a lot of good publicity over the last year or two. So maybe, but it's also hard to say, would the fan base be happier with them keeping those guys or happier trading them and getting something back for them?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, part of the question becomes what's going to cause the fans to turn off the television. Is if those guys are gone and the product on the field is not particularly watchable, or if those guys are there and the product on the field is not particularly watchable. Who knows?
I was kind of changing teams, but keeping in that same division. I am very shocked about the St. Louis Cardinals. They are, all those episodes, Alex, we have talked them up in the past of being like that team that never really had to go full rebuild. And they're not there yet by any means, but I am surprised that they are struggling as much as they have been this season. I mean, you bring in an acquisition like a Nolan Arenado, you think that it's just pretty much you're going to run away with that NL Central, and they are fighting just to stay 500, it seems, every game. So it's just not clicking right now for the Redbirds. And if you can hear a scream and you think during the Cardinals game, what the hell is that sound? That is probably my father yelling at the television because he is just fed up. He is fed up with the Redbirds, and based on what I have seen with the Cardinals, can't really blame him. So very, very surprising. But hey, credit to the Brewers. They are a scrappy team. I think I kind of put them in the same vein as a team like the Red Sox and the Giants, or maybe kind of sort of on the radar, but they're really kind of starting to run away with the Central a little bit. What is their record? How far are they in the Central?
They're 56-39. They're 7 games up on the Reds and 9 games up on the Cards and Cubs.
Yeah, so I mean, they're really kind of starting to put a dent in that, you know, kind of starting to distance their lead, I should say. So kudos to them. And
if they ever find any hitting, they're going to be real good.
Yeah,
like, because that pitching staff is pretty phenomenal. Is really good. So to win in the playoffs, though, I think they're going to have to find a little more offense.
Yep.
I mean, to give St. Louis a little bit of credit, we are talking about getting fed up with the franchise when they're at about 500.
Yeah,
and
they're only 1 game under. So
yeah,
we are covering a team that we're like, hey, 70 wins, that'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way every time. It's like
that's what happens when you have 2 decades of sustained excellence, more or less. So when you
put in that mentality of winning and then you aren't winning, people will have a negative reaction to the fact that you aren't winning. What a concept. If only this team from Detroit could have figured that out 5 or 6 seasons ago, would have saved me a lot of headaches and a lot of F-bombs in text form to you guys.
Well, it's particularly interesting because of the fact that the Illiches also own the Red Wings, who had decades of dominance. And well, now don't. So maybe there's a little connection there, as well as the fan bases will probably tell you.
Detroit sports trying to make a comeback.
Detroit sports are like rebuild central for like literally every team.
They're trying to make a comeback.
It's going to take us to
that they're
Super
somewhat
Bowl.
relevant. That was the comeback. I didn't finish. They're trying to come back to relevancy. That's what they're. Yeah. God bless them.
Guys had to reprint the shirts outside of Lions games that have said rebuilding for 50 years. I think we're approaching starting to be in the 60 year. We're over 60 years. We're about 62 years since the Detroit Lions last championship. So
I think when you drive into Detroit city limits, they, like there's those road signs that say like, welcome to whatever town you're driving into. It should just say, welcome to Detroit, home of the rebuild.
Yeah. home of the rebuild. Then there's a picture of Al Avila sitting with his feet up on his desk with a cigar, just no cares in the world, doesn't care that his team is a monstrosity, although not really this year, they're playing better, but you get what I'm going for. Mm-hmm. Al still needs to go, by the way. It's the second half of the season, and Al Avila still has a job.
I don't know how long we've been recording, but the fact we made it this long without Luke yelling at Al needing to be gone or fired or whatever might be a record. I don't know.
I mean, it helps that they swept the first 3 games of the
Had they lost any of those games, I would have broken my laptop about 6 hours ago. So no. Things are kind of going better for the Tigers, but Al still needs to go. I don't have any faith in them now. Wild card races?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the wild card races. Obviously, they're more tied up in the division races than necessarily we can maybe predict at this moment. But obviously, Tampa Bay and Oakland currently, if the playoffs started today, would be the American League wild card teams, and the Dodgers and the Padres would be the National League wild card team. And what a wild card game that would be.
I mean, the ratings for that would be great, and it would be a lot of fun for baseball in general. Like I said, I think the Dodgers are going to catch and pass the Giants, and obviously Giants Padres wild card game isn't as fun. But it would be. I'm rooting for the Giants to win the division, I guess. Technically, I'm rooting for the Padres. I want the Padres to, because even Giants Dodgers would be really fun from a rivalry standpoint for a wild card game. But yeah, Dodgers Padres in a 1 game take all scenario is ideal baseball television.
I would venture that would probably do better ratings than a elimination game in the World Series.
I bet you are correct. It might be the highest rated baseball game in years.
Yep. I agree with everything. I agree with it all. I want to see it happen. Let's hope it happens. Who did I pick I think my wild card teams I had were the Padres
and the Mets.
Was it the Mets? Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty decent.
That's still feasible. That's not out of the realm of possibilities. I can take that. And then I think for the American League, you guys remember who you had? I think I had.
Yeah, you have the Rays and Blue Jays. You have straight AL East, which is not terrible.
Also not out of the realm of possibilities. Okay. Yeah. I'm looking good in the wild card races. Everything else is a catastrophe, but I'll take that.
Yeah, your playoff teams, you're doing the best in that category of us currently. Good. We'll see how it goes.
You got to be doing good somewhere, I suppose. Yeah, it'll be. I mean, all these races, it's kind of everything we just re-summarized. They're all too close to call at this point. Mm-hmm. If you're calling for the whoever like the Rays to be getting a wild card, it's too early. There's just too much. Look at this. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams in the American League that are separated from 5.5 games with the wild card. So with the A's and the Rays lead, and then you got a crop of teams within 2 or 3 games behind them. Tigers 9.5 back. Could it happen? Probably not, but we'll wait and see. And then in the NL is a little bit more separated because with the Nats, the Rockies, the Diamondbacks are 27.5 games out of the wild card.
Have we attached a magic number to the Diamondbacks yet of when they're going to be eliminated?
They're 27 games back, and they only have 27 wins.
Yeah. Will they have a worse record than the Tigers did in 2019?
They're making a run at it. If they keep on this pace, they are going to be really close.
The Tigers, I think, only won 47 games in 2019, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're going to be probably in the low 50s, but they're going to come real close, which is crazy because they're like going into the year they weren't trying to lose, or not trying to win. They were like trying to compete.
Yeah, Diamondbacks over under line preseason was 74.5, and currently pacing 44-ish wins, 45.
Oof. Yeah, the Tigers lost Tigers went 47-114 in 2019. They finished 53 and a half games out of first place. So
that is, look,
that was a bad year. That was a bad.
People can critique the Billy Bean regime all they want, and they have had some not good A's teams in those years, but they've never ever been even remotely close to that bad. So,
the Diamondbacks are giving the Tigers a run right now. They're 20 games behind pace, so to speak, if they want to try to catch that Tigers record. They're 27 on the nose. So let's see what happens. Can they win 20 games in the next 2.5 months? I don't know. We'll see.
I do think as this conversation, we've alluded to it a couple of times. I think we're in for a really fun September in a lot of ways, in many places in baseball.
NL West, AL East. Those are going to be the two big ones.
The NL East, I think, could be fun, but
East Coast, West Coast means I can watch an East Coast game and then have a great lineup for the West Coast game as well. Mm-hmm. So it'll be a good sleepless nights in September.
Yeah, you're right, Luke. The NL East will be a lot like, it's not about who's going to win this. It's just going to be about who not loses it.
Yeah, it's just going to be kind of a train wreck, but hopefully an entertaining one after that. So we will see.
One last thing here, fellas, in the over-under section, Tom, you have 21 teams pacing.
I was going to say, I was looking this over and I was feeling really good about the over-under. And I feel pretty good about most of those holding serve. So
yeah, and most of them feel, I don't think it's going to land close. I think you're pretty confidently they've paced correctly, that you should feel good about where you stand. Luke, you and I, you have 15 teams, correct? Okay. Currently pacing correct. I have 17 teams currently pacing correct, not counting the World Series points, because who knows what that will be. Currently, if the season ended today and they decided to not have a World Series, Tom would win with 34 points. I would finish second with 33 points. Luke, you would finish in third place, bronze medal, nothing to be ashamed of.
With how many points? Give me the points.
27 points.
Oh, that's fun. I can't wait to not pay up on this bet either. We have a history with all of our friendships of none of us ever pay up on bets. And that's kind of our own fault because we make these bets. Now I think we all forget, one of us lives in New York, one of us lives in Chicago, the other one lives in Florida. Yeah. So we see each other maybe once a year, twice if we're lucky. And the next time we all go out, we're going to have to maybe move away, because I think originally the bets were like dinners to Olive Garden, Applebee's, or Chili's. I think we're just going to have to say, you owe me a drink. You owe me multiple drinks. I think that's how we're going to.
It could just be dinner. It doesn't have to be at a suburban Americana restaurant.
No. The fine print clearly said it would be a chain restaurant, and I don't see the next time we're all hanging out on Bonita Beach anyone wanting to be like, "Hey, screw this place. Let's go to an Applebee's."
Yeah.
We'll just meet at O'Hare and go to the O'Hare Chili's.
We won't catch a flight. We'll just go to O'Hare. It's the only
you guys just fly into O'Hare so we can eat at Chili's.
Yep.
I'll take the blue line out, and then you guys get on another plane and immediately leave without leaving the airport.
Yep, exactly. Like Tom Hanks in the terminal, we're never leaving. You got it. Well,
man,
good luck.
Somewhere in there, I will punch an ad break into this show. Mm-hmm. So I will have punched an ad break in somewhere. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us this week. Any closing thoughts as we head into the second half-ish of the season?
Tom, you got anything?
Nothing substantive. I said
it's been fun.
Everything meaningful already. But hoping my team wins some games. Yay!
Same here. It's been fun. It's been a good season. As much as we sometimes get angry with teams and how we're performing, etc., just think where we were a year ago now to kind of put it all in perspective a bit. Quite the kind of reversal of fortune. So fans can go to games. Stadiums are packed again. We just got out of the All-Star break. We didn't even get to have an All-Star break last year. The games have been fun. They've been competitive. And just things seem to be going pretty well with just the current position of Major League Baseball. Manfred did make those comments in regards to maybe some of these newer rules going away next year. We do have, I believe, those what I'm sure will be very fun and not annoying at all negotiations between Major League Baseball and the players coming up at the end of the season. So that's going to be, I'm sure, just a hell of a time. But moving away from all that stuff in regards to Tigers, they're playing better. Not a perfect team by any means, but they're a hell of a lot of fun to watch. And I would really love to see them, if they could find a way to make a run for 500, that'd be awesome. They'll have to play really, really, really well in the second half. And mainly just excited to watching more baseball, seeing some of these divisions, and hoping Miguel Cabrera gets to his milestones in this second half. That's what I'm really excited about.
I know you guys predicted like the home run thing, like you guys are both like early to mid August, right?
Yeah,
and that's not looking very good at this point, I don't think, right?
He'd have to go on. It's such a funny thing because it's the home runs that we're talking about, not the hits. Now, obviously, he's the chance of him getting 70 hits in 70 games, who really knows? But the home runs, it's like he's 6 away. So realistically, all it takes is one hot week, and he could have it. If he kind of finds that power stroke. I picked, I think it was the second or third week when the Tigers were on the road in Baltimore, because I do think wherever he gets it, it's going to be on the road. I just think I think it's just a little bit too big for the old goat these days to muscle one out. I'm sure watching out, he'll hit his next
unless
six
it's
in America.
snowing, then he can.
Unless it's snowing, then he can do it on opening day. But other than that, all of his home runs have been on the road this year. Realistically speaking, the Tigers come to Tampa, I think the second week of September, and as of now, I'm going to go to those games. It's not out of the realm of possibilities that he could be maybe looking at like the 1 or 2 to get him to 500 that weekend. So we will see what Miggy does. But it's such a weird thing because all it takes is one hot week, and theoretically we could be, if he has one hot week, this time next week we could be like, yeah, Miguel Cabrera just hit 500 home runs. That's what's so funny with it being just the 6 that he's chasing. So
I'm just trying to look up when they're next. When do they go back to guaranteed?
Chicago or Minnesota? Yeah. I think they go. They don't go back to Chicago until I think September. Actually, no. I think it might be October. They have like 3 or 4 games at the beginning of October with the Sox, and then that's it.
Yep, that's it. That is the last. So he's only got 3 games left, guaranteed rate this year, which is one of his particularly friendly parks. Gets pretty well in Cleveland too.
He did just have those 2 home runs against the Royals. I think last month he had that go-ahead grand slam. So they go to Kauffman this weekend. They're going to be that's it. So that's his last go-around at Kauffman this season.
Is he playing like pretty much every day, or like 5 out of 6 days?
For the most part, yeah. For the most part, he's getting a lot of. I mean, again, I'm not worried now. It's funny. I'm not worried about the hits so much anymore as I am the home runs, because the power really just isn't there pretty much ever. So he's going to get it. There's no doubt about that. He's under contract with the team for 2 more years, I believe. So come hell or high water, Miguel Cabrera is getting these hits and these home runs. But when it happens, that will be up in the air. So
I think we definitely have a situation, as I just looked through at what stadiums he'll be in, where he could very well likely get the hits in the last week of the season and have 1 or 2 home runs remaining, kind of the like reverse of what we had talked about with the hits potentially, when he's sitting at 29.98.
Yep.
He might be sitting at 498 home runs, and then his first series at guaranteed rate.
And I don't know what the numbers on this are, but I always feel like too, when a player is close to a milestone like 500 or 3,000, they kind of go on a little bit of a cold streak as they're just trying to slowly get that one more hit or that one more home run. So we haven't really even factored that into account if you were to kind of have that last second hurdle to climb over.
If he's like on the brink of those milestones, either one of them, when he comes to Chicago, ideally, like the White Sox will have had the division kind of more or less wrapped up by then, or have a decent cushion, so like that the tickets aren't too expensive, and I would try and catch a game. If he's sitting on $4.99 or $29.99, I would definitely try and buy a ticket and go.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
And sit in the outfield.
Yeah, for sure.
And if he hits a home run, you fight to the death to get that ball, and then you give it to Miguel Cabrera.
Okay. Hunger Games my way to that ball, and
yes,
give it to Miggy.
I was having this conversation, and so now I'm going to pose the question to you guys. You catch a milestone ball of a player.
Mm-hmm. Do I like this player?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really hate anybody. So even if it was a Yankee, I think I would. The question, sorry, finish your question and then I'll.
Yeah. Is what do you do with that ball? Like, do you auction it? Do you give it back to him? Do you offer him a price? How do you work the situation?
In general, I think I would give the ball back. I'm not a big collector of sports memorabilia. In fact, I'm not at all. And so even if it was a player I loved, I would be like, well, I love this player, so I want him to have this thing, assuming he wants it. And then even if it's just average Joe Schmo, somebody I don't really care about, which Miggy would fall into this category, I would just be like, sure, I would give it back to him. And I'm sure he would offer me, a signed bat or whatever, and I'd probably take that. I mean, ideally I'd like to get a little bit of money for it, but I wouldn't be like, hey, I'm only giving this to you if you give me, 10 grand or whatever. And I would definitely not auction it off.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
The human in me would want to be like, Miggy, I'm a huge fan of yours. You're arguably my favorite Tiger ever, probably next to Pudge. Here's the ball. Maybe if I could get a picture and an autographed bat or something, great. The other human in me would be like, Miggy, you make a ton of money for this team. I have been through a lot with this team in the last couple of years. 20 grand to you isn't going to mean a whole lot, but it'll mean the world to me. Let's write some checks.
Yeah.
I think I landed somewhere on I'd be like, can we go have dinner on you? At a really nice restaurant that I'll never be able to
Applebee's. Phillies and O'Hare.
Will you buy me an Applebee's?
Yeah, there you go. Buy a franchise restaurant.
Okay, so Tom, here's how it's going to work. If he's sitting on either $2.99 or $4.99 when you go to that Sox game, if you go to that Sox game in October, if you were to catch the ball, his whatever milestone ball it would be, you could ask him, for an autograph, a picture, whatever. You can give him the ball back, but then you need to demand that he comes on an episode of the show.
Okay. I mean, he will 100% not do that.
We're going to use his career milestone as leverage.
And not only that, but the team would not let him do that. But
well, then he's not getting that.
And
ball.
If I did, though, I would ask for some signed Tigers memorabilia if I could, if I didn't get money, and then I would just give it to you guys.
Well, that's a nice friend. There you go. And that's how you end a show on friendship.
That's right.
Also, for the record,
that we haven't been nice enough to Al Avila, that the team would.
I'd give him the ball back, but I'd say, you can have this ball, but that guy needs to go. And I'd point to Avila. I'd say, your choice, Miguel. What do you want, buddy? For the record, I don't think I could I like to think I would be a cold-hearted bastard to the point where I could be like, yeah, you can have this ball back if you give me 20 grand. But I just could never imagine those words coming out of my mouth. I feel the moment would get there and I'd be like, I guess
yes, sir, here
fine.
You go.
I'd be like, yeah, maybe some signed batting gloves, maybe some tickets to the game. But I'd like to have some of your contract, Miguel, but I guess you did earn it, not me. So here you go. He's going to get there. He's going to get there, and then he's going to come on our show. Damn it. I know it. Positive vibes only.
That's right. Positive vibes all the way through to next week when we will be back talking more Tigers baseball. Hopefully a successful week of baseball continues for these Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, Tom, beat the Rangers.
Thank you for joining us. Everybody else is beating the Rangers. Why don't we?
No. We'll do our best. Thank you, Tom. Bye, Alex.
Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
I always love when